I found this over and over again in organizations, whether it was an 18-month commitment or a 18-day commitment. People would make commitments and ultimately they would wait until they'd missed them to give you the excuses. And so the rationale here was, let's address that by creating this climate and comfort zone to raise a red flag. The potential jeopardy allows us to help that person be successful, or in the worst case, we can actually change the commitment before it was missed and make additional change of plans as opposed to getting surprised. We can't recover from a commitment once it's missed. What we want is to create that comfort level for people, to avoid them anxious or fearful. And if we allow them to raise a flag and all we say is thank you, then they're going to be much more comfortable doing that in the future, as opposed to being chastised or put down or blacklisted or embarrassed when they're not able to meet a commitment. Meeting commitments starts with clear communication. Do they understand is the comprehension side? And then we have to drive the compliance part of the equation. Hold them accountable to their commitments, not to our commitments, but to their own. And that's why consequences are not necessarily negative. Consequences can be both positive and negative. So when they're meeting commitments, we want to reinforce that, recognize that behavior, bring that back to the team and share why it was so important. When they're not, we need to talk to that individual on a one-on-one basis and find out, why aren't they raising a red flag? How can we help them early to identify that there's a jeopardy? And more importantly, be able to use the red flag to say, hey, I know I had a commitment and I'm struggling. I thought I could make it happen, but it's 2 days away and I don't know how I'm going to make it happen. So at a minimum, it starts a conversation and allows us to address the challenge of meeting that commitment well before we miss it. And if we can just create this climate or subculture for our teams, the people we work with, ultimately, we're going to be able to help them make better commitments, number one, and number two, maybe rally and actually meet that commitment instead of giving excuses after the fact.